Without further ado, I'm going to bring up Francis Almeda, everyone. Let's go.
Awesome. I chose the wrong way.
No, I love it. I love it. I love the
Thank
build
you,
up.
thank you. All right, cool. Thank you. Happy Friday, everyone. Hello. Let's give it up for Adun and the Creative Mornings team. Let's give it up for host for hosting us. It's really wonderful. This is too tall, so I'll move this guy. And then I wanted to thank you all for waking up and being here super early. I got the clicker? Totally. This makes sense. And then, awesome. There I am. Thank you, ChatGPT. And then I just wanted to thank you all for waking up super early and listening to me. This is really an honor for me just because I actually went to one of the first Creative Mornings in 2011. It was at Threadless. That shows how old I am. And the talk was from the owner of Threadless named Jake. But I just love the idea of city creatives coming together and listening to another creative story to be inspired and motivated. And since then, I've seen a lot of my mentors and bosses and idols be on the stage. So this is really a full circle moment for me. So thank you for being here. So as everyone has mentioned, Adun invited me to chat, and she was like, hey, the theme is revival. And my instant reaction was like, man, Adun, I think you emailed the wrong person. I've never brought anything or anyone back to life. But after talking a little bit with my boy ChatGPT, he mentioned revival isn't always a loud comeback. Sometimes it's a quiet return to who you really are. And yes, my ChatGPT talks like me, which was really scary and awesome. So it got me reflecting a little bit. And I like to think that all of us in this room have little moments of revival in our story. And as far as mine goes, it showed up in creativity, community, and identity. So we're going to go through those today. And when I say revival and creativity, I'm really talking about revival in my work. So we're going to go get into that a little bit. But before that, just some really quick facts about me. I loved drawing as a kid. I drew a lot of Ninja Turtles. I thought I was going to be like a comic book artist. Funny because I don't really draw that well today, but I was a really creative kid. My mom was a nurse. My dad was an engineer. They worked really hard, 6 days a week. And one day when I was young, I asked my dad how he felt about his full-time job. And he responded with, I'm tired of this shit. That's what he said, which is really fun to hear as an 8-year-old. So, you take that, whether that I wanted it or not, it stuck with me for a while, and you'll kind of see that revived later on. My first job was at Baker Square. Cool, one person knows. And then, which was in high school. For those of you who don't know what Baker Square is, it's a pie place that old people went to go eat at. And I was a host and a server there. And then in college, I actually worked at a breakfast place called Toast. I'm not sure that they're open anymore. And then an Italian restaurant called Caldo Fame. And it's funny because I forgot about these jobs until I was reflecting. And I was like, well, that's 8 years of food and hospitality in my life, which obviously you're here now, but like it revived in the future, which is really interesting to think about. I graduated with a bachelor's in animation. I started off, my mom said computers make money, so I started off in computer science. Realized that wasn't like the creative route, so I just switched my major to the next most creative major, which was computer graphics and animation. So I should be making Shrek and working for Pixar now, but I took one design class, and the first assignment was to design a logo, and I was hooked ever since. But I graduated with a 3D portfolio, so I needed a graphic design portfolio if that's what I wanted to continue doing. So I did what any normal person would do is I found free clients through Craigslist. And I would just message them if they needed a flyer, a logo, a website. I would do it for free, and I built this portfolio, which is really incredible. And I'm still alive and here with you all, which is really nice. But then I spent the next 20 years of my life in advertising, which I think this is where the story begins. How am I doing on time? I do want to say a little story about my first job. My first freelance gig was at an agency called Draft FCB. And they brought me in as an animator, because that's what I was good at. So they brought me in to make things move. And I got in there, and they briefed me on the project, which was for the USPS. And at that time, like self-service kiosks were being put into places. That's how old I am again. And they wanted a website for it. But I was brought in to make things move on a website. And I got the brief. I not only made things move, but I illustrated the entire website, I designed the whole website, and I built the entire website under a week. And that's only because I didn't really know what I was doing. I was not in ad school. So at that point, this agency was like, who the fuck is this kid? Someone hire him, and that's what really opened up the doors for the rest of my career. I like to think that I worked at the best agencies in Chicago and San Francisco. I moved up from an animator to a designer to an art director, and eventually a creative director at a place called Google. And then batteries. And what I learned from advertising, I really worked with some of the most brilliant and creative and smartest people that I know. They're in this room right now. So they taught me everything that I know about coming up with good ideas. That's all we did every single day, 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. We came up with the best ideas and created the best work for our clients. So that really laid down a foundation for me on how I approach creative ideas and how to execute them. The other thing that it taught me was I could work on multiple projects at once. I think there's a lot of Instagram entrepreneurs who are like, you should only focus on one thing. And I like to think that they never worked at an ad agency because you get thrown on 4 or 5 projects and you have to create the best work for every single one of them. So it's just the way my brain works, and I think that gets revived in the future with 5 restaurants in 5 years. So I think the most important thing, though, that it taught me is that I love side projects. I just love working on things on the side. And as far as agency life goes, at least back then, it was like the side projects are projects that we did for free for clients. And the reason they were cool is because you could take a little bit more risk with them. You could have more fun with them. And you were forced to be scrappy to build things from nothing. One notable project that is really one of my favorites, it was called Mr. Imagine's Toy Store. Which was a toy store that only sold cardboard boxes. So families would walk in and they'd be super confused on why you'd be selling cardboard boxes. But what they didn't know is once you got a box, you could bring it to the back, and volunteers from the Chicago Children's Museum would be there to help you turn your box into the best toy ever. It could be a spaceship, a car, it could be your home. It's just a cardboard box is the best toy ever once you put your imagination to it. So once you bought this box, which was really a donation, you'd get a free ticket to the Chicago Children's Museum's exhibit on cardboard. So super fun project, one of my favorites. But these projects were pretty common at the places I worked, and I was always asked to be on someone's side project. Whether or not I came up with the idea, that didn't matter, but I was always on the team. And I like to think it's because they knew that I could do it all. I could design, I could animate, I could concept, but I think the most important thing that I like to think why they wanted me there is I could bring ideas to life. I could execute. You tell me your idea, I could make it happen, get scrappy, and that's revived in the future as well. And then we get into the agency work. Man, I made some cool banner ads, you know, and then I made a super cool website for Toyota, sick. I did some photo shoots with like gum models, awesome. And then I would strategize and build websites with the best of them. But I think in general, something was missing. I didn't know. It's just after a couple of years, I kind of for my dad saying I was sick of the shit, I think I was sick of the shit as well. And what I found, I kind of thought to myself or reflected on is I was working extremely hard on things I didn't really care about for other people to make money. And that's really what sparked me to start my own business in 2016. Oh, thank you. Yeah, thanks, Dory. Woo, cool. And let me know if I'm talking too fast. But I think a lot of people know me for my food and hospitality businesses, but I think there's one little tiny business in 2016 called Reppin' Pins that really kicked it all off. Oh, hell yeah, that's my #1 fan, thank you. And then, so these next few slides are from a grade school, like an 8th grade career day I did in 2018. Who puts another presentation in the presentation? I do. It's partly because of laziness, but I do think there are some gems in here. So, and it tells the story really well, and so that's what we're gonna go through. So this is the story of how I started my own small business in 1 month. It all started with an idea. Cool. A lot of my friends and family were wearing pins on their hats and jackets, and I always saw them and thought that I could illustrate those really quick. That's just what I did best. All I needed to do was find a manufacturer and make it happen. And I could design anything, so let's design everything. So let's make pins that represent things that you love. So that's really a super general term. I could really illustrate anything. So week 1, let's name the company and design the logo. That's what I do best. So we started coming up with names, Pinback. We had, what do we got in there? Pin Packs. Man, I really wish we went with Pimpin'. That would have been a good name. And she will tell you all the time, my wife came up with the name Reppin', representing pins that represent things that you love. What a genius name. She will tell you every day that she came up with that name. As she should. And as she should, because fast forward a little bit, Reppin' put her through college, so she earned that name. So I came up with the name and the logo. Week 2, design the pins and get them made. Again, let's design things that people love. What do people love? They love donuts. What's up, downstate? And so I illustrated the donut really quick, made it. Everyone's favorite donut is the Homer Simpson donut. Bam, got that. Changed some colors, made a chocolate one, made an ube one in 2016. Ain't nobody heard of ube in 2016, I'll tell you that. And friends of ours own Gurney Donuts, so I wanted to highlight, I wanted to also highlight people then without even knowing it. So then I designed the packaging that it came on, which is really just a business card. And then I started Googling all the pin manufacturers in the city. I maybe chose the wrong one, doesn't matter, because what happened is I produced my first set of pins within, 3 weeks. Thank you, 100 of each. Next task at hand was to design and launch a website. That's what I did for a living, sick. So luckily around that time, Shopify, a wonderful site, powerful tool, was released. And I just put all my pins on a website, and I did what I did best, and I advertised. Instagram still remains as my tool of choice for everything that we open, but I gained a following, and I sold pins, and I sold a lot of them. I would wake up at 4 in the morning before I was still in ad life, and I was putting together orders, making new pin designs. I would take that money, recycle it, and make more pins. 2 years later, I went from 3 pins to 136 pins, and sold, and just really traveled in different craft shows like Renegade Fairs in the city, Sauce Market, if Sarah's in the room, shout out to Sarah. And I not only focused on Chicago, but I also traveled to Los Angeles, San Francisco, New York, and just sold all these pins. And whether I started the wave or not, there was a pin wave. Urban Outfitters started selling their own pins. It was just like, I just got on the wave at the right time. And and Reppin' was like top 5 pin maker. I don't know if that's the official job line, but I was top 5 pin maker in 2018. So now, today, Reppin' Pins is worn all over the world. All you 8th graders, if I can start a business from nothing, you can too. Tip 1, and this is how you do it. Tip 1, always have a side project going on. I think all of you are going to have full-time jobs. I'm pretending you're the 8th graders. A side project just makes you happier, I think. You know, you get to balance your life with something that you actually really want to work on if you don't like the thing that you're working on. Tip number 2, fail faster. I'm just like, I launched the business in 1 month. I work, for those of you that know me, I work really fast, and that's how I get things done. I like to make mistakes fast, learn from it, and move on. That's just how I work. Tip number 3, less talking, more doing. Yes, thank you. My pet peeve is when someone tells me their idea and I just never see it come to life. So less talking, more doing. Stay in school, everyone. I did get an email from a parent. It's like, I think you just told my kid to not be in school and become an entrepreneur. I'm like, that's not what I was doing. But we started doing shows, as I said. There's my wife and I who came up with the name. Her name's Ann. We sold 6 pins in our first show, got some signage from Target. Then I moved on to a legit table cover, and eventually actually opening up my first pop-up shop just by myself, building it, which kind of revives in the future, turning spaces into just cool experiences, which is really fun to reflect on. But things that I learned from repping pins. It was my homeschooled MBA. I actually talked at Northwestern to some MBA students, and I was just like, look, just open. It was like a Friday, and I go, by Sunday, you guys should have a business open. And you're going to learn more than you ever did within how many years that you've been here. I learned how to build and sell. There's a Naval Ravikant quote that says, if you know how to build and sell, you'll be unstoppable. And I think through advertising and through repping, that's what I've kind of gained, and I am now unstoppable. But I think the most important thing that which you should keep your eyes on is I built a network of side hustlers and entrepreneurs through doing all these shows. I met a lot of like-minded people, like you guys in this room today, and that would later come up in the next story of Revival, which is community, which is really a revival in my connections. In 2020, I landed a crazy side project. I don't know how I got this, but the Las Vegas Raiders, if you know who they are, a football team, they were opening up a new stadium in Las Vegas. And I was tasked with, I was hired to concept and design the food stalls for the entire Las Vegas Raiders Stadium, just by myself. Wow. Like for real, that was the project. So it's not only creating the logos, but I had to come up with the food concepts inside this stadium. And that's what I did. There was I think it initially started as 30 stalls. I presented maybe 18 ideas, which is really incredible. What that did is it sparked this food and hospitality creative thinking again, and I loved every minute of it. I would come up with, like, there's a taco place called Viva Los Tacos, or P Square Pizza, or is there a grill place, or something called the Gridiron. It sparked something inside of me and brought back food and hospitality. Crazy, huh? Fun. And of course, I had a little bit of money from that project. I got some money, man, and I probably undercharged because I didn't know what they were doing, but to be completely transparent, I got $30K. So keep that in mind. I got $30K. What am I gonna do with it? I did what every normal person does. I Googled coffee shops for sale. And I found one, like one down the street, which was like 7 minutes away from my house, called City Coffee. I passed by it a couple times. It just wasn't really memorable. I hope they never watch this video, but it cost $125K. I had $30K. So I was like, why? How am I gonna make this happen? Well, because I'm really a terrible negotiator. I'm just really too nice, but at the same time, I was actually taking a master class in negotiation. I highly recommend it. Chris Voss is the shit, great book. So I said, fuck it, let's just practice what I learned through this master class. And a month later, I got keys to my first shop. Yeah! It went from $125K to $25K. Like, what were they doing? And that masterclass is worth it, is what I'm saying. So I want to bring back side projects. Side projects have been a huge part of my life. So what is the concept of this cafe? So maybe side project. Noah's going to take a picture of me real quick. I'm going to look real cool. So that was the idea. Let's call it Side Project Coffee. Let's take that network that I built with Rep and Pins and just showcase all their work, not only my work, but their work. So let's create the space to do that. So I did what I did best, and I started designing some logos. Long story short, there's another side project brewery in St. Louis. They emailed me. He's like, hey, this is too close. And I said, whatever. I was reading this book called The Practice by Seth Godin, who is also an awesome entrepreneur and one of my favorite books today. So then we actually landed with Side Practice Coffee with the motto, start something. So that was the final logo. And I was like, all right, let's make this happen. So now I have this space, and I've never worked in a coffee shop before. And this was February of 2020, but in March of 2020, the pandemic hit. Cool. So let me pour this real quick. So here I am with all this time, and bear with me. Everyone doing okay? Yeah. But opening a business during the pandemic was probably not the smartest idea. But what it did was give me a lot more time to learn. I never worked in a coffee shop. So I bought a bunch of books, reached out to a bunch of cafe owners and learned from them. I bought a $700 machine and put it in my basement. And during the pandemic, my wife and I would just make drinks and sell coffee, or not sell, we'd give away coffee to our friends during the pandemic. And that's how we learned how to make drinks and how to froth milk. I learned it all from the $700 brew. They should sponsor me, Breville machine. And that also gave me time to build a business. I've never done this ever. So it gave me time. I did this opening up a business, and some of my partners are here. And they had other people to help them out. I did this truly by myself. Learning how to get a business license, I didn't know how to do that. But I made it all work with the time during the pandemic. And then I started posting about our opening day, and I called it Ube Day. And we had some of our friends who now own Umaga, but they're at Valerio's, and they made some custom ube pandesals for us. Our friends at Gurney Donuts, as I mentioned, gave us some ube donuts. Did I say that? Yeah, ube donuts. And then 5 minutes before we opened, I came up with this drink that had macadamia milk, ube, and matcha. Called it the Manila Matcha, and it's our bestseller till today. And side note, let it be known, this was the first day that Chicago heard of ube. So all your fucking cafes that have ube in them, just know it started from Side Practice. Anyways, and then we opened. And check out this line, the pandemic, no one has been outside, and here they are with masks on. And we caused the first line that people saw in this neighborhood and saw during the pandemic. Side Practice was really a special thing from day one. And I have 0 years. It was me, my wife, and I think my first hire, RJ, that was there. But it's only 3 of us. I made 326 drinks opening weekend. I averaged maybe 2 hours of sleep that entire month. But it taught me a lot, and Side Practice was born. And I did what I did best. I sold, baby. I started making some merch. Talking about our shop in ways that other coffee shops weren't doing. It's just I come from this world of ideas and advertising. This is what I did best. I wasn't a barista, but I know how to sell. So keep that in mind. And so this cafe, with the motto, start something, we'd feature people's works on our walls. We'd feature a bunch of different local entrepreneurs in the city and have them there for pop-ups. And that's really when this cafe started to become bigger than what I had ever anticipated. Shout out, Justin. That's you right there, man. Let's go. And then, so that brings me to the next and last story of Revival, which is identity in my Revival and my purpose. Because in my email, I had everyone's side projects just emailing me. People just wanted to tell me about what they were working on. Whether or not they wanted to be a pop-up in the cafe, it didn't matter. They just felt like I was someone that would listen, maybe offered some advice. So in that case, I met all these locals now have kind of moved on and built their own thing. So that's what the cafe became. I started featuring all of them in my cafe, and then that kind of revived this purpose in me. I wanted to shine a light on minority entrepreneurs. I I wanted to do business a little different. I think a lot of businesses at that point were very competitive. I was going to embrace collaboration over competition. And I was going to help others bring their dreams into reality, because that's what I did best, as I have mentioned in the past. And that's what I did for the next 5 years. I helped launch 5 minority-owned businesses in 5 years that are rooted in collaboration and community, and turning dreams into builders. And that's all the. You want to take a picture? Thank you. Thank you. The first one started out with in last year. I think it was in February. My director of coffee, Ty Banks, had this traveling latte art throwdown event. And he would jump from cafe to cafe. And what started to happen is he built a network of the city's best baristas. You know, they would show up because they wanted to show off their skills. But Ty, and I found out about this idea, and I loved it and wanted to embrace it. And at that time, I was not only giving back to the community and helping bring them their ideas to life, but it would definitely help my staff. And that was one of the interview questions, was like, what are you working on the side? Because I was going to help them turn it into reality. And that's what we did. This reveal. All right, and last year in February, we opened up Drip Collective. And thank you. In my opinion, it's you know, that team there is just really wonderful. They have some of the best baristas in the city, and Ty continues to push the boundaries of coffee. He features the community in his own way, which I'll get to, but 5 minutes, totally. Next one is, you know, around the same time I was making coffee, I was also making pizza, and my cousin Ryan actually came over to my house one Christmas and was like, I know what I want to do, because I was starting to inspire everyone around me to start something, which is really beautiful, especially my family. And he was like, I want to open up a pizzeria. And I go, you should have never told me that, because now it's going to come into reality. And then his friend Enrique, who we know as Gremsky, has been working in pizza his entire life for 16 years, and a dream of his was to open up something. So we popped up at SPC one random night in the pandemic. It was super snowy, and we sold out. People waited out in the snow, and we knew we had something going on. Fast forward, still last year, opened up 2 businesses last year. In August, we opened up Novel Pizza in Pilsen on 19th and Wood, and it's been, thank you, really paving the way of just a new style of pizzeria. And I'll be there afterwards today. I'm not trying to sell you all on pizza. I'll be there today if you want to hang out. We open at 11, and they serve coffee from Drip Collective. And then I met this Hawaiian dude named Julius, who just DM'd me out of the blue and was like, hey, I got this musubi concept. I was wondering if I could pop up at one of your places. And he already had, he popped up, him and his family has popped up with a brand that he already called Snackish, which was already doing well, and until he met me, of course. And then and the funny thing was, I had a musubi idea too. And I told him I would help him. We got together. And this is going to show you how fast we work. I've never thought that I would meet anyone who works fast as I, but Julius is my match. And that was August. He messaged me last year. September, October, he popped up with his brother-in-law and his wife, Katie, in SBC, Novel, and Drip Collective. Sold out every time. September, October. November, we signed a lease to our first restaurant, and we opened in Julius. When did we open? March. In March. We've only been open for 2 months. It has, I think it was an eater that called us Chicago's hottest restaurant. All right, I design logos, but all right. And there I am, Julius. I know I say that we just met, but he's really become a brother of mine and one of my favorite people. And then we end, Justin, this young 21-year-old messaged me in 2021, 2022, asking if he thought that it would be a good idea that we showcase his Filipino bakeries or pastries at my shop. And I asked him to send me some pictures, and it was the most beautiful thing that I ever seen. So I was like, I will help you launch this bakery. And now, Justin, as you know, 11 del Sur is the hottest bakery in the city has ever seen. That's what I'm saying. I wish he's not here because he's attending to that line. And but all of that said, all these shops still carry on the side practice mission, which is really to showcase the community, whether it's through art and DJs or different entrepreneurs. Drip does that. We've partnered with rappers to rap in a pizzeria or make minority-owned beers. Conan does their own thing with being next door to SPC, showcase different artists, and Del Sur, of course, showcases their friends and family and what they're doing. And today, side practice still continues to revive culture, community, and creativity across Chicago. This is not even like remotely close to how many people we featured in the cafe. So it's really grown to something big, bigger than me. And it all started with this cafe on the corner of Foster and Damon. And if I had to leave you with something, it would be start something. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Awesome. Thank you.
So good. Give it up if you've been inspired. Are we ready to start something? Yeah. I think we are.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.